No.
Sorry. Questions. Oh, sorry.
What's the difference between hard work and smart work?
So hard work would be, in terms of what I think hard work means is working really, really, really hard, like long hours and really, really long hours and constant and what always trumps that for me is smart work. Like, how do I define smart work? It's like intelligent decisions that I'll try and think of an example where hard work trumps smart work. What we when we were faced with the task of like getting people to come to our website, we didn't have any money. We literally were broke, so we had to get students to come to our website. So hard work would have been like going out on the streets and like every day and be like telling students to like come to our website manually. Smart work was me finding Dom in Manchester, in York, who had built this page to 12,000 students, and it was growing rapidly, and me approaching him and being like, okay, literally, you've got 100,000 students at your fingertips, can you come and work with me and post our website? So that's an instance of where, like, and what we did, because we had no money, is we built this huge empire of this huge networking power. We built this huge networking power because we had no money. So that's the case where we were smart instead of just working hard. Because, you know, my mum works harder than me. She does. My dad works harder than me, but they don't. In terms of like what my mum has achieved, she runs businesses too, and she probably doesn't make, like, in terms of revenue and stuff, doesn't make 1,000th of what we make, because, and you know, she's running businesses and stuff, and she's too focused on working hard than working smart. If you knew my mum, I'd probably be able to understand it better. Yeah. I think the reason I say this is because there's this delusion that if you just work really, really hard, you'll make it, and you'll be rich and you'll be successful and you get whatever you want. And I don't think that's the full thing, because I know people, my mum, who's worked really, really fucking hard all her life and hasn't been able to do that. So, yeah, sorry.
So, before you mentioned that you try to connect to other people, like passing them envelopes, right?
Yeah.
So do you do anything else other than that?
Yeah, I mean, we do it. We really do it every day. We have like an attitude where I wouldn't contact someone in any regard if I wanted something from them if I didn't try to be different. And so a good example is this girl that I'm dating at the moment. She wanted to take some photos at the top of the Beetham Tower, and it's owned by this architect. So she sent him an email. Hey, my name is Fujan. I want to take it to blah, 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 blah. And that's how the email sounded and felt. And I was like, Fujan, like, no one is, he's going to look at that in his email box and it's just going to be like, ugh. I was like, do something different. I was like, send him like a cookie in an envelope with a picture of yourself with a sign saying, please, can I shoot in your apartment? And you know what I mean? Like, that is something where he will like 100% reply, but there's this whole convention, there's this whole thinking that you have to kind of stick within the realms of convention, when convention doesn't work, because that's what 99% of people are doing. So I would just challenge you, when you're going for like internships or anything like that, you have nothing to lose. You don't have anything to lose by coming across like an idiot. Just do something different. If you were to email me with the, oh, hey Steve, I want a job, I'm busy, I'd ignore it. But if you do something different, I can't tell you what that is, you'll probably get a response. So yeah, we do all this like all the time.
Just touched on the edge of that. It's just, the business is pretty cutthroat, trust and integrity, and maybe believing in someone and then getting burnt. And for you, do you just wing it and just, if a bad decision, business decision goes wrong because the person lies to you or does something, or have you had that experience?
In terms of, can you give me a little bit?
In terms of your in the business world, I mean, there's so many relationships that you develop with lots of different people, and the people that you just referred to, the guy in Beetham, he believed in you and said, yeah, let's meet up. But what I'm talking about is that for a lot of people, the trust and integrity is when you actually believe in someone and develop a business relationship. Have you always just winged it and just...
Am I in terms of like being easy to trust?
Yeah.
When it comes down to like finding people and finding if they're easy to trust, a lot of the time, yeah, I do kind of lead with trust, I think. all I have is my intuition when it comes to meeting people and developing relationships. So everyone's been burnt a couple of times, but like fundamentally, I'm still a trusting person. I won't let being burnt in the past really affect my like outlook on the world too much. I hope that answers your question.
Yeah. Well, I had an idea for an app a couple of months ago, and then I had some developers on my team. I can't tell you exactly. Maybe later. Anyway, then they kind of dropped out because they had a really cool project with a big company, and now the idea has changed and everything, and it's not really been happening. And for some reason, I've kind of lost confidence in the past 1 or 2 years. It's actually when I came to uni, I kind of lost confidence in myself, and I have a very strong, like, this is a bit of a weird thing to admit in front of a room, but I have strong fears of failure. And every time I'm trying to get into something, like really like get after it, like something that I have a blockage in my mind.
I think, you know what, Steve Jobs said something really powerful about this whole idea of like being scared of failure. And I can't remember exactly what it was, but he said that we all are like living as if the idea of death is just like a myth that someone once said, as if like we all think we're going to live forever, and we all start living by thinking we have something to lose. And he said, you know, you're already dead, you have nothing to lose. And if you really think back to it, like if you really break it down, like you are going to die someday, and you're going to die, because of that fear, you're going to die average, because you're too scared to step out of that. And for me, the only thing more like terrifying than like death itself is living a life that was fundamentally average, and not fulfilling my capacity or not fulfilling my potential. And if you really, really go down to the core of it, what is it you think you're scared of? This is actually a question. I don't know.
It's a very good question.
Is it, so you think you're scared of failure?
I think it's something subconscious, because I go to gym with him every day, and I'm not afraid of heavy weights and anything. Like if I fail in that, it doesn't matter. But the failure in business or something, these things, you know.
Failure in business is definitely...
Finding my own business.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is. It's very subconscious. I can't describe it.
Yeah.
But every time I'm trying to get to it, I can't. I'm just, you know.
Yeah. So do you think it comes down to maybe a bit of like lack of self-belief?
Probably. Yeah. No, definitely. Yeah. I'm not exactly sure how to solve it. You know, it's a weird question.
Yeah, everyone, like I fail a ton of times, I continue to fail. And like the great thing about every single failure that I've made has been my defining positive moment, because even with Woolpark, the website, I consider that personally to be a failure. But had I not done Woolpark, I wouldn't be running a company now that generates millions of pounds, and Bieber wouldn't have been interested in me, and I wouldn't be where I am now. And for me, like especially in the tech world, failure isn't a negative, because I embrace failing, and it teaches me everything that I need to know. And you know, what do you really learn? You don't learn as much from succeeding as you do from failing. But when it comes to self-belief, like it's hard, because I know that I've always felt like I've always had that. But I know that she asked a question earlier to this guy: can you make an entrepreneur, or are people born as entrepreneurs? And I know for a fact that you can make entrepreneurs, because in my own business, I feel like we make entrepreneurs. Like, for example, Dom was at uni doing sports science. He was, like, with all due respect, on the path to be working a job, and now Dom is an entrepreneur, and he's a very capable entrepreneur. But, you know, in many ways, he was pulled out of that and, you know, forced to take a risk. But I can't encourage you enough to just, like, think about your life and think about where you're going, and think about whether you want to be you want to be great or you want to be average. And to be great, you're going to have to take some risks.
All right. Good one.
I mean, it's hard without knowing your personal circumstance, but
no, that's cool. That's cool. Thanks.
How much of your success do you think is down to maybe the strategic decision that you made, or any series of decisions, as opposed to just having an awesome product?
It's definitely. I don't think it's down. The more because my first business I didn't really consider to be a huge success, and then we got very lucky with the social chain. We feel like we've stumbled across something that no one knows about. Was that luck, or was that, you know, it's a case of we were trying to solve a problem for a very long time, which was ultimately like connecting students, and by putting ourselves out there to fail and all that shit, we discovered this other thing. Had I been sat in my bedroom still doing my degree, I never would have stumbled across that opportunity. So it's a big thing that I think is the more you put yourself out there and put yourself on the line, like which is this whole coming out of your comfort zone bit, the more you're open to stumble across something which is is awesome. A lot of it is, I mean, yeah, if you put yourself out there 500 times, one of the times you're going to get lucky, right? And be an overnight success, whatever, yeah.
Following on from the person's question, how much do you agree with some investors' comments that they actually believe in the person?
Oh, it's 100%. Alistair told me after he gave me the money that I didn't know what he was investing in. He said to me, it's 100%, I've got a story. Well, I met this guy who just sold his company for $500 million, met him in London, met his whole family first, and they said, when our dad meets you, he's not going to care about your website, he's going to completely be focused on you. And he walks in to the second meeting, and first thing he does is he rearranges where everyone sat so that he can sit in front of me. I do the 45-minute pitch, don't think he looked at the board once, looks up at the board, looks back at me and says, so Steve, tell me about yourself. And then I said something about how I was obsessed, and he goes, stop. And he says, I wish my sons had the same fire for something that you have. And then that was the meeting done. But it's all about the person. My investment meetings have been, I've never had a business plan ever in my life ever. Still don't have one now for any of my businesses. My first business, we had 9 investors. This one, we have 4 investors. I've never told them how much money we were going to make or whatever. It's just been like, this is awesome, believe me, do you know what I mean? So it's, we went for lunch and then they invested, and then I emailed them and then they invested. It's not been like, you see the Dragon's done.
Do you believe that you have a sustainable business?
So, sustainable business, the market's ever changing, right? Social media is always changing. What if Twitter introduces an algorithm that stops just our pages being seen by anybody? Or if Twitter, Instagram does that? What we have to understand is that it is always changing and to be dynamic. So when LO launched, everyone heard about the hype around that new social network LO. We spent a whole day scoping it out and making sure that we owned a lot of property, social assets on LO. But yeah, we're very aware that the market is changing and that we have to adapt with it or we'll die. Facebook told me a story once about how they nearly died because they didn't move to mobile fast enough, because they didn't realize it was going to be so big. So yeah, it's important to keep changing.
You have internships?
Sorry?
Do you offer internships?
We do, we're actually hiring out, guys. Yeah, we are actually, yeah.
Okay, so the last
in London.
Can you state something that you think that you should do but you didn't do?
Something I should have done but I didn't do. Something I should have done but I didn't do. Maybe I should have read more about, maybe I was a little bit naive with my first business, and I should have read more about the topic of tech when I started it, because I would have known that building a web platform wasn't a smart thing to do, and that mobile was a much smarter decision. So yeah, I should have just become a little bit more obsessed about the topic itself, which thinking at the time I could just do anything, I just was maybe a little bit too arrogant and didn't read enough about tech. Cool. No worries.